Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Prestige Sports, located here in Missoula, Montana. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is the first of many videos, and the topic of today's video is going to be macronutrients, or flexible dieting, or if it fits your macros, or how to essentially create your best diet plan using macronutrients as opposed to other mainstream diets that tell you exactly what you have to eat. How much of something you can have, and you have to follow that super strictly, right? Because sometimes life gets in the way, and despite our best efforts, it's really hard to follow an exact diet plan when we don't have some of those resources, right? So, if it fits your macros has kind of become a popular thing in the fitness world recently. It kind of crossed over from being mostly used amongst really competitive bodybuilders, really competitive CrossFit athletes, people that are, their job is to perform at really high levels consistently. And it's kind of come over to, our weekend warriors and just our daily fitness fanatics that are wanting a diet plan that can, help them A, reach their goals, but B, is also fairly easy to follow with, the demands that life puts on us from day to day. So the first thing to note about if it fits your macros is exactly what a macronutrient is, okay? So there's actually 3 macronutrients that our body needs in order to survive, essentially. So there's protein, there's carbohydrate, and there's fat. So, in modern dieting, a lot of times we hear fat's fattening, fat's terrible, fat's bad, or carbs are bad, cut out all carbs, whatever. Well, your body actually needs all 3 of those things to function properly and consistently. So, flexible dieting or macro dieting allows you to get a good balance of all 3 of those things in order for you to get the results you're needing. So whether that be bulking, gaining weight, gaining mass, just a simple maintenance diet. So you like the way you look right now. You don't feel the need to diet really hard or to put on any more weight. You just kind of want to maintain, or, to shred and cut and get lean, nice summer bod, like we all like to say, right? So, kind of to break it down. So protein is, that first macronutrient I talked about. 1 gram of protein has 4 calories in it, okay? So that's where kind of calories come into play. 1 gram of protein has 4 calories. Same thing with carbohydrates, okay? So 1 gram of carbohydrates also has 4 calories. Where it gets a little tricky is 1 gram of fat actually has 9 calories, okay? So obviously people say, oh, fat's fattening, fat's terrible for us. Well, it's not necessarily the case. It just happens to have more calories per gram, okay? And you might be asking, well, what's a gram, okay? One thing you do kind of have to commit to, in a sense, with macro dieting or flexible dieting is buying one of these, okay? A lot of you guys might be like, I have no idea what this is, or it might look, kind of foreign to you. That's okay. All it is it's just a simple food scale, okay? So you can buy these at Walmart. You can get online and, grab one of those, okay, whatever. I got mine at Target. It's awesome, okay? It's big enough that I can set a plate on it and see exactly what I'm measuring, because that is something you're probably going to have to commit to in order to commit to macro dieting, okay? It's kind of a small price you have to pay in order to yield the results that you're after. So kind of just how the food scale works without going into too much detail is, I don't know if you can see this, but there are units, okay? So it says it's unbalanced right now because I've been touching it, but if I try and level it out to 0, okay, then there's units. So there's pounds and ounces. So if you're trying to measure, your protein in ounces as opposed to grams, that's a common thing to do as well. There's grams, which I've been talking about. So grams are really helpful. If you're measuring grams of something, that's kind of what macronutrients are based off of. And then, your last one would be kilograms, which us living in America, if you're overseas watching this, hi from Montana. But if you are, in America, you're probably not going to be measuring in kilograms, and I doubt you're going to be eating any kilogram-sized of foods. So don't worry too much about that. But that's just nice because then you can throw, whatever you're going to eat right on that scale. It tells you exactly how much it is. And then what you're going to have to do and also kind of commit, there's a little bit of a technological side to it, is get on that iPhone of yours or whatever phone you got, and download MyFitnessPal. Okay, there's also a couple other macronutrient counters, or diet plan counters, or calorie counters, or all that. MyFitnessPal has by far been the most successful one that I've personally used. You can pay to have like a premium upgrade, which I would highly recommend if you can afford it, because it does allow you to count your macros, and then it allows you as well, once you get into the app, you can kind of see, it allows you to see how much food you have left for the day. So it essentially starts out and it'll tell you, okay, I have 180 grams of carbs, 150 grams of protein, and 50 grams of fat. Okay, that's just an example, not we have to follow it all. And so then let's say I just plug in, all right, I ate a cup of oatmeal for breakfast with a protein shake, and I threw some berries in my oatmeal, okay? So I would measure that all out, and I would get all that situated. You can search brands, you can search, Whole Foods, you can search really anything in their database, and then just plug it into whatever meal it is, breakfast, snack, lunch, dinner, water uptake, whatever it is, okay? And then it will subtract that and give you what you have left for the day. So as long as you hit your macros and stay within those ranges, you're pretty much good, okay? Right? So then your next thought is, so I can eat all the cake I want as long as I hit my macros, right? Like, that's how it works, sorta, okay? So if you do, the nice thing about flexible dieting is that if, let's say, you do want a piece of cake, okay? Like, you do want a piece of cake, or you want a cookie, and you want to kind of, have that cheat without going overboard, it allows you to do that. So let's say, you're going to your little cousin's birthday party and you think there's going to be cake there. In the morning, what you should do is just plug into your app, the fact that you're going to have a piece of cake, which is totally fine, right? Like, we got to live life a little bit. We can't just be so strict. Plug in the fact that you're going to have a piece of cake, and then it'll tell you what else you have to hit for the rest of the day, okay? Your only other requirement is that you should hit 25 grams of fiber per day. So fiber, unfortunately, doesn't come from cake, but it does come from whole foods. Like, vegetables have tons of fiber. You can buy high fiber like tortillas or wraps. Rice has a lot of fiber. Fruit has a lot of fiber. Lots of whole, food, whole grain, unprocessed, really clean food has a lot of fiber in it, okay? There are protein bars that also have fiber, but it's kind of debatable as to whether that's a high-grade fiber or not. But you want to be able to hit that 25 grams of fiber a day. So instead of, going in a pencil and notepad and trying to figure out and calculate everything exactly what you ate, the app does all of it for you. So once again, it's MyFitnessPal. It's a little, your little icon's a little blue square and with a little white dude running. So it tells you all of that. So you can break down all of your micronutrients, which is fiber, macro, protein, carbs, fat. Micro is all the little things, sodium, cholesterol, monosaturated fat, polysaturated fat, which we don't have to get into. But the important one you want to look out for is fiber, okay? So hit that 25 grams of fiber, or go over, be my guest, every single day. And that essentially tells me that you're staying within that range, as well as hitting all of your other, macronutrients. So like, you might have to play around with it for a while. So like, say your first, couple of days, you're like, geez, I ate, 100 grams over on my carbs and I did not hit what I needed to on proteins. It's good that you realize that, because then you can adjust it from there, right? So instead of maybe giving yourself that extra cup of rice, throw an extra chicken breast on there, as opposed to, as many carbs, and you'll eventually get the idea of how to balance it out. Another kind of thing to touch on is a lot of people feel, once they get on this macronutrient plan, that they're like, I have no idea where to start. A great starting point is literally just log on to the internet, go to bodybuilding.com, go to, there's tons of websites. Just type in macro calculator, how to calculate my macros, all of those things, okay? Because as you all know, we're each made differently, right? Our body compositions are different. Some of us might have a hard time gaining weight. Some of us might have a hard time losing weight. Some of us are naturally athletically built. Some of us are not. So there's, we're all different places in our journey, which is awesome. That's what makes the fitness community so amazing. So go into, some macro calculator. It should ask you your sex, so your gender, your age, your current weight, your height, and then your fitness level or your activity level. So be really honest. Like, I know it's kind of awkward to be honest when you're trying to, plug in information. You think you're at one point and, in reality, you're 8 pounds heavier or something. That's okay, okay? You got to be honest with yourself as to where you're at currently so you can get to where you want to go. So plug in, all those things, be really honest. Gender is an important one because it does, our bodies do process things differently. Men tend to have quicker metabolisms, and they tend to need more calories in, and they tend to expend more calories just day to day. So it's unfortunate for us girls that like to eat, but it's kind of how it goes. So plug that all in, and then it should give you what you need based on what your goals is. The bodybuilding.com one does ask you what your goals are. So it will ask you if you want to gain weight, maintain, or lose weight. So whatever it is, and then it will give you those numbers, okay? It'll give you those calories, and then it'll give you your macros. So it'll give you however many grams of protein, carbs, and fat that you need for that day in order to make up that caloric goal, right? So then you're going to plug those numbers into your MyFitnessPal, and then from there, you kind of get to start eating, which is nice after all of it, but you get to start eating, and you kind of get to see. So another nice thing is that it doesn't completely eliminate processed foods for us, for those of us that like our latte in the morning. I'm guilty. Or for us, that like you come home and you're like, oh, geez, I have, 80 grams of carb left, and I already hit my fiber goal. I can have, a waffle or a bowl of cereal before bed or something like that. So it doesn't completely eliminate those, stereotypical junk foods that, typical diets kind of ban, but it does limit them so you stay within that range and begin to see your goals. So I would say give it about, 3 to 4, 6 even weeks to really start to see those changes. And of course, it is based on your activity level as well. I would say 80% of your results are going to be seen in the kitchen, so where you're eating, and then kind of the rest of it comes into play with what you're doing and what you're lifting or how you're exercising or all those things. And then just kind of track and see where things are. So, kind of monitor it. Don't just expect to see changes overnight like that. I wish that's how it happened. Unfortunately, it doesn't. So track and see kind of where you're at. Track, if you have been, following let's say paleo or ketogenic or some other form of strict dieting for a long time, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm gonna hop on this macro bandwagon. Be careful, right? So you don't want to put too much change into something so quickly, and you can still follow those diets within macros, which is really nice as well. So be cautious as to how you see your body changing. If you feel kind of fluffy and you've gained weight, maybe maybe cut back your carbs by 10 grams and see how you feel that next day or something. Just be really cautious of how you're feeling, and if you feel like you're under eating, hit me up in the comments or slide into my DMs on my social media, and we can try and fix your numbers for you a little bit if that's kind of the case that you're seeing. Another thing though that I've noticed with it is I've found really good success in it as I was prepping for my CrossFit competition that I did, and I was surprised at how much I actually had to be eating. I had dieted before and meal prepped and all that stuff, and I've been all right, I'm gonna eat every 2 hours. I'm gonna be really regimented about how I'm gonna do it and what I'm gonna put in my body and stuff. And then even then, once I calculated my macros and got a nutrition plan all set up for myself and really spent a lot of time on it, I was surprised to see how much I needed to be eating. I would find days where I'm oh my gosh, I have 700 calories left I need to eat, right? So I was under eating in a lot of sense. So you might be surprised at how much you actually need to eat. So if that's the case, that's awesome. Keep regulated. And then a couple more tips: drink lots of water. Always water, 0 calories, 0 macros. Drink up, and then try and spread your calories and your macros throughout the day. So, if you have a big breakfast, that's fine. Breakfast is important. But, then try and eat every 4 hours consistently, so it keeps that metabolism going, right? You don't want to eat a huge breakfast, kind of just nothing all day, eat a huge dinner right before you go to bed, and then be why am I not, more consistent? Why is my weight not consistent when I wake up and weigh myself? All those things. Eat consistently throughout the day. It keeps your metabolism going, as well as kind of just regulating everything. And so it makes it when you get home from work or home from school or whatever, you're not oh my gosh, I have to eat 1,000 calories because I ate a protein bar for breakfast and I didn't eat all day, and so I have to eat 1,000 calories before bed. That's hard for your body to process right before you go to sleep, kind of, in a sense. I mean, it's all right if it happens because you're staying within that macro range, but at the same time, like, you want to make sure you're at least staying somewhat consistent. That's kind of all I got. If I missed anything or if I didn't touch on anything, please let me know. Please slide into my comments, or like I said, hit me up on social media. I'll put some links in the video. I really appreciate you guys all listening and watching. Please spread the word. I really just am trying to, start something that's gonna kind of start a movement. I want to, help kids. I want to help people. I want to help people that are, not as informed, or just starting out their journeys, or maybe you're on your journey and kind of hit a lull. So I'm here. I'm a huge resource. Please hit me up. I'd be more than willing to chat, more than willing to talk, and spread the word, spread the link, spread the video, spread my name, spread my business's name. I would appreciate it more than you know, and I'm always one to kind of trade services. So if you're out there trying to, grind as well, let me know. I'd love to give you a shout out, or support your business as well. So thank you so much. From Prestige Sports to you. Have a great day, and always strive to stay consistently superior. Thank you, guys.